That might have been a bite right there. Yeah. Small fish, maybe? Yeah. Saw that little tap on there. Probably a small fish. So they got one over here too. Right as I went off that point there. Both the downrigger and the snapweight got fish. Oh, this is the little smallmouth. There you go. It happens. Alright, let's see here. What's going on with that snapweight over here? That one also seems to have gotten a fish. So today I'm going to contrast trolling crankbaits for deep water walleye using two techniques. That is downrigger and snap weights. And the downrigger has already picked up a little bass today and a really small walleye. This is my first bite on the snap weight. We'll see what we got here. I'm running a 4-ounce snap weight just to get down deeper. See what we got here. It's fighting very walleye-esque. Both techniques have pros and cons. I'm going to kind of go through those today as I troll back and forth here and try and find some walleye. This is a nice fish on perch pattern crankbait. There we go. Beauty. Okay, so there's a nice walleye on an old hog boss. I yak my bait. Wardens, they don't make them anymore. Great walleye crankbait. They dive really deep and have a pretty small profile. I really like these perch patterns out here for Banks Lake because I just find a lot of yellow perch in the bellies of these walleye that I harvest. Now you don't see downriggers employed a lot in walleye fishing, especially in the northwest here. But for me, one of my favorite ways to target fall walleye and winter walleye especially is trolling crankbaits. Crankbaits allow you to cover a lot of water quickly. Like other trolling techniques like bottom walkers, you're moving at just like a mile per hour. You're not really covering a lot of water, and if you're not familiar with the lake, that's going to make it harder for you to locate fish because, again, these walleye have very patchy distributions throughout the lake that they're inhabiting or river systems. But when you're clipping along at 1.7 to 2.2 miles per hour, you're covering a lot of water really quickly, and crankbaits will let you do that. Now, the issue with crankbaits is that even some of the most aggressive deep diving crankbaits like these bandits here and the bigger flicker minnow 11s with these massive bills, if you're running a really thin braid and letting out 200 feet of line, you might be getting down to like 30 feet if you're lucky. Most of the time they're going to bottom out around 20-24 feet, which for the vast majority of the walleye I target is way too shallow. So one technique that I've been using for the past couple of years and perfecting is running downriggers. And what I will do is I will set up on my troll lane that I want to target in depth and try and follow a fairly similar bathymetry. So today, trying to hang in that sort of 58 to 62 foot deep range. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to let out about 50 foot of line with this flicker minnow 9, which has a dive depth of around 11-12 feet with about 50 feet of line out. And then what I'm going to do is clip it into the downrigger, and I'm going to drop it till it's the downrigger ball till it's about 10 foot above the bottom, 10-12 foot. That way that flicker minnow's cruising right along the bottom, every once in a while ticking bottom, and it's right in that strike zone where I really want it to be. So I'll just let out 50 feet of line, then simply clip into my downrigger ball, and then I'm just going to let that ball go down into that strike zone. And there we go. We are deployed. Now, that's going to be different with my hog boss I have here, where I'm using a snap weight. Here I'm going to let out 50 feet of line. I'm going to clip in a 4-ounce weight. I'm going to push, and then from there I'm going to push an additional 70 to 80 feet of line out. Also going to put me down around that 55, 60 foot mark. And the only way I've kind of figured out the depths of this is I use a precision trolling app, which there they use like they have a calculator showing you a 2-ounce snap weight, but I'm basically just doubling the weight on my snap weight, and that's going to help me sort of estimate generally the depths I'm getting to. Now for me, the hardest part about this isn't the figuring out the depths and figuring out where the walleye are. For me, the hardest part is detecting the bite. Because what will happen is, you know, on my snap weights, I'm mostly relying on, you know, looking for the wiggle action of that crankbait. If that stops, that kind of is an indication that I might have a fish on, because I've got a lot of weight loaded up on that rod, trolling at a really fast speed, and it can be easy to miss the bite because the rod will just kind of slowly load up with weight when a walleye hits. Versus the downrigger is even more challenging because you've got your clipped into the release, and if you get a smaller walleye on there, all you'll see is just a little tap, or like that little smallmouth bass that just got a little tap. It almost just looks like the crankbait bouncing off the bottom. So I tend to check that crankbait fairly often, you know, every 20 to 30 minutes, and then redeploy it. It doesn't take that much time, but it is one of the more challenging components of downrigger fishing. If you get a big fish, they'll just release the clip and it's a lot easier, but small fish can be really problematic on there. I can see every once in a while the tip bouncing as it crankbait bounces off the bottom, but it's not always easy to detect, especially in rougher water. Fish, fish. Got one. Nice. On snap weight. Feels like a good one. Maybe. Some days the downrigger will outfish the snap weight, and other days it's the snap weight that gets it. It's just always hard to know what it's going to be. Generally, I get a higher grade of fish when running cranks than, say, when doing bottom walkers. And you can't get that snap weight off there. One thing I don't like about snap weight is having to deal with it. But basically what I do is just swing it up. I kind of speed up, keep tension on it, release it, and then keep the pressure on those fish. Oh yeah, a really nice walleye, big one. I'll be letting this one go. That is a beast. Whew. There we go. All wrapped. That is a very, very, very nice fish. Beautiful. I don't like to keep them when they're that big. Alright, I always let those big girls go. Get her back in the water. There she goes. There's bait. Came off the clip. Oh man. Ooh, this is heavy. It feels like I'm on a log, but it's a fish. This thing's gonna be big. This is gonna be big. This is gonna be a giant, guys. That's the one thing about crankbaits. They may not be the best in terms of like quantity of fish you're gonna put in the boat, but it puts the biggest fish in the boat for me. God, this thing is just like, feels like a beast. Man, it's pretty rare that I have a walleye turn the kayak. You know it's gonna be big. 24 feet on the kayak here. I don't think I've ever been tired fighting a big walleye. Maybe I got something else, I don't know. There's fish there. No, I lost it. Oh, yeah. What a bummer. Popped off. Well, that happened. Let's just get back to business. That was a heartbreak. Yeah, bummer. It's hard to recover from something like that. That's probably going to be my personal best. Jesus. Mark that spot. Oh, there's fish. Yep. Right as I went over that hump. Nice. I saw a big hump out there. There's a bunch of fish sitting on top of it. And just as I went over the top of it, and I think I got hung up there. I'll have to go back for that one. Take care of this fish first. That was cool. I marked that hump because I saw a bunch of marks sitting right on top of it. Woo. Oh boy. Oh, this guy is a big smallie. That's funny. That's what those marks were. This big smallmouth. Still not a bad fish. Take that any day. That's a chunker. Makes me nervous with all those hooks right there. It's a chunk. Cranks are good for big smallies too. Check that out. That's awesome. Alrighty. See you later, buddy. Oh. I bet all those fish I marked off that hump were smallmouth. That's the tough bit, you know, with all these walleye fisheries. You can't really see the walleye that well. They're sitting hard at the bottom, and even when you do see some marks that are holding tight to the bottom, more often than not, there's some other species, not walleye, like you want them to be. Well, I think that's going to be it for me today. I gave it about 4 hours of fishing, trolling cranks. It wasn't red hot. Caught a couple dinks, a decent sized eater. Landed a really nice fish in the mid-20s, and probably lost one that was substantially bigger than that. All in all, not too bad. In general, like I said, crankbaits don't really put more fish in the boat for me than techniques like jigging and bottom walkers, but the reason I'm so successful with those techniques is I kind of have honed in on areas where those techniques are very productive, and that's because I have figured out over years, you know, where the distribution of walleye is. Whereas, you know, with these crankbaits, it's a really good search pattern. Just kind of move around, figure out where some fish are. You know, I marked all the spots today that I hooked fish. Some were spots that I kind of expected to see fish, and some were in areas that were new to me. So that's the power of the crankbaits, that allows me to explore new areas quickly. And of course, it's really hard to do that at, you know, depths of 40 to 60 feet, just flatlining crankbaits, which is why these snap weights and downriggers really give me that opportunity to explore new water and move across it quickly at higher troll speeds using crankbaits. And of course, you know, the one thing that always seems to be the case is that the average size of fish I put in my kayak is always better with crankbaits than with any other technique. So anyways, if you have any questions, just let me know in the comment section below, and I'll see you next time. And just remember, fish smarter, not harder. Bye guys.